Hello everyone, welcome to Best Recipes with Sharon. I'm pretty sure you're going to love today's recipe. It's for lemon shortbread squares. So if you stay with me, I'll show you how to make these. But first, a little reminder that my cookbook is available on Amazon, and I have provided a quick link in the description below this video. Okay, without further ado, let's get right to the recipe. Line an 8 by 8 inch pan with parchment paper. Add 1 cup of all-purpose flour to a mixing bowl. And then add half a cup of butter and half a cup of white sugar. I find using a fork helps to mix this together really well. So what we're doing here is we're mixing the shortbread crust, and it needs to cling together a little bit so you can see how the texture is changing as you mix it. Okay, so this is going straight into the pan. I spread it out evenly across the pan and pat it down a little bit. Now this is going into the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and you'll set your timer for about 15 minutes. So you want this to be nice and flaky and not overcooked. It's shortbread, so just be careful with how long you keep it in there. It should be lightly browned at the edges, but it is going to be a light color like this. So now that we have the crust made, we can go on to making the lemon curd filling. So we'll need the juice of 1 lemon. And when you're making something that's actually lemon flavored, freshly squeezed lemons are always the best. Okay, so we'll pour that into a bowl. So this will strain the lemon juice so that the seeds and pulp stay behind. Okay, so the amounts is really just the juice of 1 lemon, and that'll equal a good 3 tablespoons or so. Then add 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Now I put a generous 3/4 cup of white sugar. I like my lemon to be tart but not bitter, and that's the same reason that I don't use lemon rind in it either. Now we'll go ahead and add 2 large eggs, and I start off using a small tablespoon to mix it together, but in order to mix this together well enough, you'll have to get either a fork or sometimes using a whisk to make sure that there are no lumps. It has to be extremely smooth before you start to bake it, because it's not forgiving in that way. You want to make sure it's smooth before you bake it so that it's smooth after you bake it. Okay, got that point. Now on to the next thing. You need to put that directly onto the baked crust while it's still warm. And then you place it back in the oven, and you'll bake that for about another 20 minutes. Now when it comes out of the oven, you let it sit until it cools off a little bit, then remove it from the pan, and of course take the parchment paper off of the bottom of it. Let this cool off completely. Just before cutting the squares, I like to give it a generous dusting of sifted confectioner's sugar. And this is why it's important to let it cool off completely, because if you don't, then the sugar just melts on top. Sometimes if the squares sit for a little bit, it will melt a little, so you can give it a fresh dusting just before serving if you need to. The confectioner's sugar not only looks nice, but it also helps with the flavor. I'm cutting mine into bite-sized pieces because this is going on a platter with other squares. These squares have a refreshing and pleasantly zingy flavor. You'll love them. And besides that, they're super easy to make. Thanks for watching today's video, everyone. I appreciate your support of this channel, and thanks for your comments and your subscriptions. And until next time, happy eating. And I hope you enjoy this one.